And all the while, at the time, the Interior Secretary was Gil Norton. She was pressing Navajo Nation, renew the water lease with Peabody.
Mm-hmm.
And Peabody was only paying $2 million for the water lease. And, I mean, they were just getting away scot-free with,
Sure.
with everything. And so, any rate, then the Navajo Nation had no choice but to let the water lease in, which it expired December 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, it's not been renewed. So, because of that, there's two mines up on Black Mesa mine and Kayenta mine. So that ended the Black Mesa mine. Peabody had to shut down Black Mesa mine. Black Mesa mine supplied the coal to Laughlin, and then the Kayenta mine supplies coal to the Navajo generating station, which is about 60, 70 miles north, or west rather. And so that shut down the Mojave generating station in Laughlin. And along with that was Sierra Club, and then some other, I think it was Grand Canyon Trust. There's another nonprofit environmental agencies. These are outside agencies that were also, have lawsuits against Mojave plant. And so that was the end of that plant. So they are not using our water to slurry any longer. But the thing is, Peabody has at least 150 holding ponds up on the around the mines, and they say, and then the tribe and then the U.S. Office of Surface Mining just listen to Peabody. Peabody will tell them, we're safe, it'll never leak, but of course it's leaking, and we know so, and the water has not been, we're pressing them. We're pressing our, in court, saying Peabody needs to, they need to be made accountable. And it wasn't up until this summer that they finally opened. After almost 40 years of mining, they never shared their public records, public information with anybody. And so it took 4 Navajo environmental organizations to file a lawsuit against them to finally open their records. That's what we have to contend with.
Interesting.
Yes, it's contaminated our water sources tremendously.
And there's still the holding facilities up there, which must be a significant threat as well. If you just tuned in, Bert Cohen here talking with Elsa Johnson, Director of ENA Solutions, humanitarian and environmental justice organizations that she established to help improve the quality of life for rural Navajo elders who lack basic human needs, to bring commerce to Navajo via clean energy. And let's talk about some of these possible solutions. There was that statement you made earlier about people who are downwind ought to be able to participate in the decision-making about that, and obviously have been left out. And tell us about your organization and how specifically it involves Navajo elders, working on these issues in particular.
Yes. Well, I come from a family of environmentalists. My brother has, before environmental advocacy was popular on Navajo Nation, he was one of the very first ones. And he really is an inspiration to me because he's my younger brother. And he is always concerned about 7 generations ahead.
Right.
And what do we leave for our children and their grandchildren. And that's the reason why he fought Peabody on the, saving the in aquifer. And then I have a niece who is also has her own organization, Black Mesa Water Coalition, and that's the same thing, is to save our only water source, because we're in the desert,
Sure.
And then we've been experiencing going on 15 years of an annual drought. here, this mega corporation is just, wasting our only water source. So I said that they're the ones that are, basically doing the environmental advocacy. And they tried to, after LA decided to pull their, they want to take out their ownership out of Navajo Four Corners Power Plant. She's just on the north side of Navajo. But first of all, let me just iterate that there's 5 power plants that circle or sit on Navajo Nation. We have the highest rate of asthma, cancers, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Respiratory diseases is just rampant. At any rate, but we'll get back to that later. So they are on the, advocacy and their public education, and so they, they do that. That's their work. That's on a daily basis. But a few years ago, when California was trying to, pull their ownerships out of Navajo Generating Station and also Four Corners Power Plant, they were there meeting with the folks down in California saying, we want to transition these ugly, terrible smokestacks from coal, 100% coal to maybe, transition 20% at a time to solar, something clean, something that's not and that doesn't inhibit the earth or the air or the water and the people. So, and so they, with that, I thought, we need to put something in the ground that's as for a project for people to see what's possible with solar. And so I have a dear friend of mine, Mark Snyder. He's my solar expert. We put together a program. My nonprofit and Mark Snyder Electric put together, and what evolved was the Plateau Solar Project. And Navajo and a few of the tribes, Southwest tribes, sit on top of the Colorado Plateau. And we designed a system that will not only bring solar electricity, but water and sanitation, because, like I said, 20,000 Navajos still don't have bathrooms. They don't have, running water in their kitchen or electricity. So we decided to create a comprehensive solution. And I told him, I said, I grew up living without electricity or running water, so I know what it's like. All we do week in, week out is haul water in these 55-gallon barrels, and this is still going on today. And every winter, fall, we get ready for the winter. We chop wood, haul wood, make sure there's enough wood because people still use stoves to heat their homes.
Sure.
There's no electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So I said we have to address all of this in one, with one solution. So, which brought about the invention of EMPAS, which is the Intertopia Multipurpose Utility Structure, and in it has the 16 solar batteries, the inverter, the hot air panel, it'll have the hot air panels, and then the hot water heater, 55-gallon water tank, a bathroom, or a compost toilet, and also the solar thermal sink and shower stall. And so it was an 8 by 20 like a building, really well insulated, because the temperatures are just really extreme up on the Colorado Plateau. You have extreme cold in the winter, extreme heat in the summer. And we saw some of the other installs that were done. We did a good field study, and these batteries were just left in a metal box sitting outside, and these batteries get fried up in a year or two if you do that. So we said we need to really pamper our batteries, pamper every part and piece and make it build it to last 25, 30 years rather than 1 year,
Sure.
So that's what we're doing. And what we did was there's a USDA rural development grant, and of course these Navajo folks, the older folks don't read or write, so they're not aware of, they can't read about these opportunities. So we found that they can do home improvements with like a $7,000 grant, or but they have to be deemed no or low income, and so we identified this grant, and then we identified another grant, which is the Renewable Energy Investment Funds, that came from as a result of a lawsuit against one of the other coal-fired plants a few miles from Navajo Nation, the Springerville power plant. And I guess there was a $5 million settlement. And then the owners of that plant said, okay, this money's going to only be used for, on tribal lands, and it's supposed to be for renewable energy projects. And so the owners of all these utility companies dictate how these money should be used.
Right.
Well, we put that money together, 75%, and we got 25% from USDA. So we're able to, give 2 kilowatt solar unit to elders, so they can have electricity. Right now, they're using kerosene lamps. I know this sounds, it probably sounds surreal to a lot of folks, but there's actually still people living without electricity and running water here in America. And then when there's a devastation that happens, a world away, people throw the millions over there. And here we are, we're supplying my coal from Navajo, from on top of Black Mesa on Navajo Nation, supplies all of the Southwest with cheap electricity, and Southern California with cheap electricity, and all of Las Vegas, all those brilliant lights you see in Las Vegas. That's my coal lighting up the entire city. And yet my people are still living without electricity and running water. It's just, to me, that's just such an injustice. It's an insult to us, to me. And we have all these power plants that have, these KV lines running, crisscrossing our reservation.
Right.
And yet you'll see a little homestead sitting underneath one of those KV lines using kerosene lamp. And they have a 55-gallon water barrel sitting outside, to last them for 2 weeks. I mean, it's just travesty to me. It's just appalling. And yet, our leaders here in Arizona, they just are blind to all of this. I mean, I could name some, national, leaders that are just, to me, they're clueless. I don't care how long they have been a senator from Arizona. I'm not going to name, but you know who I'm talking about.
Could it be John McCain?
Yes. You never see him on the reservation.
Sure.
Never see him. And it's because of his political shenanigans that a land was frozen on Navajo land it's called the former Bennett Freeze. And that land, the Navajo folks could not repair a leaky roof. They could not fix a broken window. They could not do any kind of improvement for 43 years. And it finally was lifted in 2008, and Obama finally okayed it in 2009. So now these folks who have been subjected to extreme, probably the most extreme poverty in all of the U.S., are from that area, and McCain's responsible for it. Right now those folks are in Washington, D.C., trying to say we need a couple more million for housing, because they've never, these people are living in, deplorable conditions. But of course McCain's saying, oh, no, that's too much. And so we're still trying to play catch up. And that's the reason why you see a lot of the tribes resorting to casinos, because they just want to, they just want to catch up. That's all.
Well,
Using those revenues. So I don't want to go into the casino. I don't know nothing. I don't want to talk about it.
No, not a good
I'd
thing.
rather stay on the environmental